Hi, it's me, Slytherin Roar. Yes, that's how it's pronounced. And yeah, this is what my speaking voice sounds like. Surprise, surprise. So I just wanted to pop in here for a minute and talk to you guys because I just saw Frozen 2, and I have been wanting for a while to start posting like theater and film reviews here on my channel because that's something I like doing a lot. And I just figured, what better time than now? So yeah, I'm just gonna casually run through all my thoughts on this movie because I had a lot of them. Quick little disclaimer: uh, spoiler alert. Obviously, if you haven't seen Frozen 2, this is gonna contain some pretty big spoilers. Um, and also, even though I'm talking about technically a kids movie in this, I want to make it clear this probably isn't going to be a super PG video because I get pretty heated talking about movies I like, and I may or may not end up cursing a little. So sorry in advance about that, but just so you guys know, yeah, I get that way about movies I like, and I want to make it clear right off the bat. I really did like this movie. I love Frozen. Honestly, I'm not afraid to admit that. I'm not ashamed. Yeah, I have a very special place in my heart for these characters. But that being said, I do like to consider myself a critic on some level, and I do need to acknowledge when flaws are present, and flaws are present in this franchise and in this movie as well. You know, um, I think I'm going to start off just getting some of the problems I had out of the way. So, yeah, let's get started. I think the thing that is a common flaw in a lot of these like animated kids movies, which full disclosure, that's most of what I watch and most of what I like. But common flaw among that is just the little just for kids elements they throw in, like little standard comic relief characters and stuff that don't really need to be there. And there are a couple things like that. And Frozen for sure. Like the trolls, especially in this movie, the trolls really don't need to be there. They have one scene and they do literally nothing that couldn't have been done some other way. Um, I'd honestly be pretty happy if Anna and Elsa were the only characters in Frozen. I know it's kind of sacrilegious to imply that Olaf doesn't really need to be there, but that's just my hot take. Yeah, Olaf doesn't really need to be there most of the time. Like I get it, he is funny and cute and whimsical and all that, but he usually does very little to move the story forward. The only thing I can think of in this movie that he really did that helped at all was die, so that Anna could know that something happened to Elsa. Told you this thing would have spoilers. Um, but yeah, I get that he's supposed to represent the girls' relationship as kids and their childhood, but they could have done that with just a regular inanimate object. So I don't really get why Olaf needs to be there. He does have a fun song, but once again, it's not really necessary to the story. His whole reenactment of the first movie took up a lot more time than it needed to. Although I did really love Matthias's reaction to it, as he was just going like, "Oh no, Anna, how could Hans do that?" That was a lot of fun. Um, One really fun thing about Olaf in this is how much like existential humor he makes. He tells a lot of jokes where he's like, "Hey, do you kids do all this stupid shit so you can distract yourselves from the impending doom of the universe?" Sorry, I don't remember the exact words, but he says something like that, and that's funny. I love some depression humor as much as the next millennial. But yeah, overall, that's not something that was really necessary. I guess honestly, even Kristoff and Sven kind of didn't need to be in most of this movie. And I feel bad saying that because, Kristoff's a good guy. He's just sitting there chilling, not trying to be a hero or anything, and I respect that. But he especially did not need some big 80s power ballad in this. That was way out of nowhere. Yeah, like I like the idea of giving him a song, and there were a couple lyrics in that I liked. They were about like, "Oh, I'm so afraid that I'm growing apart from Anna," and like, what are these feelings I'm feeling? And like that wasn't bad, but I feel like they weren't really focusing on that when they put the song in. They were more just kind of like, hey, listen to Jonathan Groff sing. Isn't Jonathan Groff a good singer? And yes, he is. But like I would have liked it if he had a better, more significant song to use. His cute little failed proposals throughout the movie were fun. It was really like quirky and awkward, which I always like. Honestly, they could have given him a bigger role in this overall. I know I said I'd be fine if Anna and Elsa were just there, but like Kristoff would be my third choice for a character to keep in. Um, but yeah, they all kind of took up more time with the movie than they needed to. Honestly, even if they didn't cut out those aspects that didn't need to be there, I still felt like the movie could have been longer. I clocked it at like hour 40, but like it went by so fast. Honestly, I thought they could have made it a 2-hour movie. I'd have been fine with that. And that probably would have given them a chance to flesh out the plot a lot more. A lot more. Sorry, I can't speak. I've never done this before. Have mercy on me. But yeah, people talk about the plot holes in the Frozen franchise all the time, and like they're present. I think some can get a little silly, but like, I did have some questions in while I was watching this, like how did Elsa wake the spirits in the first place, and how did she know that's what she did? She just kind of finished her song, put a bunch of crystals in the air, and it's like, oh yeah, I woke the spirits of the enchanted forest, and it's like, okay. Or like, why does she freeze when she goes into Atahalan? That didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Why did the water spirit horse thing try to drown her while she was trying to get there? I didn't understand that at all, because the spirits, I was pretty sure, all wanted her to find out the truth. Yeah, that's a lot of that kind of slowed it down for me. But those are pretty much all the problems I had with the movie. And I want to take a minute now to just like really get into the good stuff, because there is really good stuff about this movie. Like, I will say first and foremost, the thing that makes Frozen 2 a good movie is the same thing that makes any piece of Frozen media good, and that's Anna and Elsa. I love these two so much. I love them both as characters. I just think the absolute devotion they have to each other in this franchise is so beautiful. They're both so selfless in this movie. Like Anna especially, like, legit risks her life after finding out or thinking that she'd lost Elsa. She runs up to that bridge and still remains standing on it as the earth giants are throwing rocks at her. I think she knows she easily could have died then, but I think she stopped caring when she didn't think Elsa was around anymore. That's some deep stuff. Yeah, I loved how this movie explored their relationship more. I especially loved how much focus there was on their parents for this. Like that scene when they found their parents' ship. Oh my god, so powerful. That was the point in the theater when I started tearing up. And then when Elsa gets to Atahalan and she starts seeing what really happened in the past, oh my god, that was a gorgeous sequence. I loved that a lot. Sorry, water break there. Yeah, I especially loved all the stuff with the spirits in this. I thought that was a really cool way to interpret it, with like a kind of higher power, almost like God theme to it, as an explanation for how this world works and how Elsa got her powers. I know some people might not fuck with that very much, but I thought it was a really cool interpretation to say that, like, hey, Elsa is magical because she's basically the chosen one. She's the child of people from two different worlds. And so she and her sister are like gifted as being the bridge between those worlds. And I loved that. I especially love the detail where they're both the bridge. They could have just stopped at where Elsa got her powers, but they made it clear that Elsa and Anna are a unit in this. And I liked that a lot. Yeah, and I think their relationship is really what this movie is about at its core. You know, I heard a lot of people saying like, "Oh, they tried the political message with like the, the native people versus the Arendelle people," and like I get that that was a theme, but I really don't think that was the main message of the movie. You know, I think it was mainly about how Anna and Elsa's relationship grew and matured with them. Because like I was really surprised with how they ended it with them uh, going to different kingdoms. I saw a lot of people complaining about that, saying like, "What? Why would you separate them when they have such a strong bond?" And like, I feel like that was kind of a silly and almost selfish reaction, to be honest. You know, this it's clearly not a real separation. You know, we see that they're still communicating. Elsa's like going to charades at least once in a while with them. They're still sending letters back and forth. You know, I think that was surprisingly mature of Disney to throw in that theme of like, hey, just because there's distance between two people doesn't mean their relationship is any less strong. You know, I liked that. I mean, thinking about most adult relationships, realistically, that letter once in a while is something you're lucky to get at all. You know, it probably wouldn't have been realistic for them to just say like, yeah, the two of them just live together in the palace happily ever after. They could have gone that route, and honestly, I'd have been fine if they had. But overall, I'm glad they didn't because I think that was a more mature move. Yeah, I think that's what the main takeaway of this movie is about how their relationship evolved, and I really loved that. That was something that really made the movie a good experience for me. And like, of course, I can't skip talking about like the animation. Absolutely gorgeous. You know, with pretty much with every CGI movie, no matter how pretty it is, I'm usually looking for a couple little details where it's like, oh yeah, that looks a little out of place, or I see some clipping, or yeah, that dips into uncanny valley territory a little bit. This is the first time in a long time I didn't see any of that. It was so gorgeous start to finish. The backgrounds, the lighting, the expressions on the characters' faces. Oh my god. Honestly, it was cool just seeing Elsa with her hair down. She looked great. And of course, the score, the music was beautiful. There was a lot more of the like chanting element thrown into this movie. That's something I really loved in the score of the first movie that I wish they'd used more, and they did. Like in that scene where the Northuldra people find Iduna's scarf on Anna and Elsa. And they all start chanting. It sounded great. And of course, like the songs are good. I loved the opening, "All Is Found." You know, I thought that was a really cute lullaby. I liked the acoustic guitar intro. Gave me real like empty chairs, empty tables vibe. I liked Some Things Never Change. My only real complaint with that one was it was kind of just for the first time in forever again. You know, formulaically they were pretty much the same song. Yeah, though Into the Unknown, The Next Right Thing, and especially Show Yourself. Oh my god, those were gorgeous. The way they were done in the movie and the songs themselves, they just hit me so hard. And like Idina and Kristen sounded great. They always do. So yeah, I would really recommend this movie, guys. If you don't mind a couple little flaws like that, or even if you do, honestly, I'd still recommend seeing it. Um, I guess that's about all my thoughts. With those couple little flaws in mind, I will just close out saying I think the best thing for the Frozen franchise right now would be, and obviously like this at this rate this would never happen, uh, but I think the best thing would be for Frozen to enter the public domain, because then like if we then like people would have the opportunity to take these characters who have so much good quality to them, and we'd be able to like create something out of this without being as like commercially motivated as Disney is. We could really flesh this out further than I think they are willing to. Um, but yeah, I guess that's my 2 cents on that. We know the public domain like doesn't exist anymore anyway, since Disney fucked with it. But you know, that's the that's my thought. Uh, overall rating, I want to give this movie like a really high score. Its best elements were like approaching 9, 10 territory. I was really impressed with that. But like with those issues I mentioned in mind, it probably gets knocked down to like a 7 or an 8. Um, but like that's still good. I don't have a problem with 7 or 8 movies. Um, but yeah, I guess overall those are my thoughts. Sorry, this is kind of rambly. I've never actually recorded myself reviewing something before, but I would, if you guys want to see more like this for some reason, totally let me know if there's anything else you want me to review. This was a lot of fun. Uh, Go see Frozen 2, and thanks for listening so far if you've stuck it out. I'll see you guys next time.